Picture this. You are, for one day, the most successful person in the entire world. You've just pulled off an unbelievable military victory, and an entire city is throwing a parade just for you. This was the Roman triumph. But believe me, it was so much more than a simple celebration. We're going to dive into this because this wasn't just a party, it was a deeply serious ritual designed to walk a hero right up to the edge of becoming a god, and then, crucially, pull them right back.
So imagine the roar of tens of thousands of cheering people. And in the middle of all that chaos and adoration, these are the words being whispered into the hero's ear. This one single, chilling phrase is the absolute key to understanding this entire spectacle. It's the whole tension of the triumph in a nutshell, a day of unimaginable glory, constantly shadowed by this reminder of death.
And that's really the crucial point, isn't it? The Romans understood the incredible danger of a massive ego. The triumph wasn't just about patting a general on the back. It was this sacred, very carefully built ritual designed to manage the psychology of their most powerful people. It was a test, really. A test to see if a man could taste divinity and still remember he was just a man.
All right, so the journey begins at a very specific place. This is the moment the general steps out of his normal life and into something else entirely. He's about to walk into what the Romans basically considered a spiritual danger zone.
You know, they didn't just hand these triumphs out like party favors. No way. The requirements were incredibly strict. I'm talking about a major victory, killing thousands of enemies, gaining new territory for Rome. It was an extremely rare legal and religious honor that for one day officially transformed the general into a living, breathing symbol of Rome itself.
And this right here, this was the point of no return. As the general and his legions marched through the triumphal gate, the Porta Triumphalis, they were symbolically leaving the world of warfare and, well, mortality behind them. Once they were inside the city walls, for the rest of that parade, the normal rules just didn't apply anymore. Because what happened next was easily the most dramatic part of the entire ritual. The general was systematically stripped of his human identity and dressed up in the likeness of a god. Now, what's so wild about this is how specific every single item was. He wore the toga picta, this incredible purple and gold toga, the very same kind worn by the statue of Jupiter in his temple. His face was painted bright red, just like the god's terracotta statue. The ivory scepter, the laurel crown, literally everything was designed to make him a temporary stand-in for the king of the gods. This really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? For one single day, a mortal citizen was elevated to this divine status. He was parading through Rome in a golden chariot, looking not like a general, but like Jupiter himself, the supreme power in their world. Can you even imagine the psychological pressure? It must have been absolutely immense. But the Romans were way too clever and, frankly, too paranoid to just let this go unchecked. They built a safeguard directly into the ceremony. A mechanism specifically designed to fight that inevitable pride, what the Greeks called hubris. First, just picture the scene. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people are screaming your name. The streets are just a wall of sound, pure adoration. Flowers are being thrown at you. You are, at that moment, the center of the entire universe. This is the absolute peak of human achievement. And then, somehow cutting through all that noise, a whisper right in your ear, "Look behind you." It's such a stark, simple command, but it's designed to just shatter the spell of the moment. So here's the safeguard. Standing in that golden chariot, right behind the godlike general, was a public slave. And his only job for the entire day was to hold a golden crown over the general's head and continuously whisper that warning, "Look behind you. Remember, you are mortal." He was a living, breathing symbol that all this glory was completely temporary. Okay, now let's pivot for a second to the darker side of this whole procession. Because Roman glory was never clean. It always came at a brutal, bloody price, and the triumph put that price on full display for everyone to see. This parade wasn't just the general and his soldiers. Not even close. It included all the spoils of war, gold, art, exotic animals, and, grimly, the conquered people themselves. Captured kings, enemy leaders, and their families were paraded in chains, a living testament to the human cost of Rome's power. The climax of the parade was this cold, grim, religious necessity. When the procession finally reached the Capitoline Hill, it would stop.
The most important captured enemy leader would be led away to the prison nearby and publicly executed. Only after this debt of blood was paid could the general ascend the hill to make his own sacrifice to Jupiter. So this brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of the whole triumph, the descent. After reaching that absolute peak of glory, the general had to come back down. At the very top of the Capitoline Hill, inside the most sacred temple in all of Rome, the general completed his journey. He would lay down his laurel wreath and all the other symbols of his victory, dedicating them to the real Jupiter. In that one moment, he surrendered the divine persona he had been wearing all day. And this is why it all matters so much. This whole ritualized return to Earth was a political safeguard. It was designed to protect the Republic from a charismatic, popular, and wildly successful general who might start believing he really was a god and then refuse to give up power. The triumph let him taste it, but it forced him to spit it right back out. You know, the Roman triumph is so much more than just ancient history. It leaves us with this powerful, totally timeless question. In our own lives, when we achieve great success, when we hear that roar of the crowd, what's our whisper? What's the mechanism that reminds us to look behind and remember that we are, after all, only mortal?